My name is Clara Scott, and I'm 32 years old. I take amazing pictures for a living, a freelance photographer. I pay my own bills, stand on my own 2 feet. But my parents, they always want a piece of my pie. My success, they think, is theirs for the taking. It was my dad's birthday party. The house was buzzing with laughter and music, but suddenly the mood changed. My parents pulled me aside, their faces serious. "We need money," my dad said, his voice deep and heavy, like he was telling me, not asking. $139,000 for our new business. It felt like a trap, like I had no choice. "No," I said. Just one word, sharp and clear. His face got hard, angry. My mom's lips twisted into a smirk, a knowing, nasty smile that made my skin crawl. An hour later, as I was walking past my work table, I saw him. My dad. He was holding my precious laptop, the one worth $4,500, filled with all my client photos. All my hard work. "Oh, sorry," he mumbled, a smirk playing on his lips as he accidentally let it slip. Splash. It hit the koi pond in the yard, sinking into the dark water. The screen went black, just like my heart. "It's just an accident," my mom chirped in, her voice sweet, too sweet, her eyes cold as ice. The party kept going, music playing, people laughing. No one even noticed. My chest squeezed tight, but no scream escaped my lips, no pleading. I just stared at my drowned laptop, my work, my dreams, sinking into the water. And in that moment, something inside me clicked. Not a burst of anger, but a calm, focused thought. A plan. They thought they could destroy what I built and just walk away. They were terribly, utterly wrong. That night, alone in my room, I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone. I opened my backup files, a lifeline I'd secretly created, and I started to plot. They were about to learn that every accident has a price. Do you believe a family could go this far? Tell me in the comments. What would you do if you were me? The morning after the party, a heavy knot sat in my chest. That drowned laptop. It was my whole world. I pulled it from my bag, plugged it in, and held my breath. Nothing. The screen stayed black. No hum, no light. Dead. That $4,500 machine held every single photo for my biggest client project, a huge campaign that could make me 10 times that much money. Water had taken it all. My hands shook, but not from fear. From a cold, hard certainty. My dad hadn't just dropped it. He wanted it gone. I grabbed my phone and opened my banking app. Years ago, I'd set up a joint account with my parents for emergencies. My money, every cent of it. They'd dipped into it before, always with flimsy excuses. Not anymore. With a few taps, I froze their access. My pulse was steady. Then I logged into our shared cloud service, where I stored project backups. They used it for their own files, like parasites, sucking off my hard work. I revoked their permissions, locking them out forever. If they thought they could ruin my career and still touch my money, they were in for a rude awakening. By noon, my phone pinged. A text from Susan Blake, an old friend from the photography studio. "Clara, your dad's emailing investors claiming you're his business partner." My stomach twisted into a knot. He was using my good name to sell his shaky business idea, the one he wanted $139,000 for. Susan had even seen an email he sent to a family friend, bragging that I was fully on board. I wasn't, not even close. I called Susan, keeping my voice calm. "He's lying," I told her. "Can you get me those emails?" She agreed, her voice firm. Susan always had my back. She wasn't just a friend. She knew the photography world and could spot a scam from a mile away. Her warning lit a fire in me. My father wasn't just messing with my work. He was stealing my name to trick people. Then my phone buzzed again. The family group chat. My Aunt Virginia Lee typed, "Clara, you're being selfish. Your parents need help for their business." My cousin Ryan Peterson added, "It was an accident. Why are you making such a big deal out of it?" Their words felt like a slap, but what hurt more was their blindness. My parents had crossed a line, and Virginia and Ryan were eating up their lies. I pictured my father's smug smile, my mother's fake sympathy, and my resolve hardened. They weren't sorry. They were playing me. I didn't reply to the chat. Instead, I opened my backup drive, silently thanking my past self for saving my project files in another place. The client campaign was safe, but losing the laptop meant re-editing everything from the very beginning. Hours, maybe days of extra work stretched before me, and my deadline was incredibly tight. Losing this big contract could ruin my reputation. I leaned back, staring at the hotel ceiling. I checked into a hotel for some peace, my mind racing. My parents didn't just mess up. They were trying to break me, and now they were using my name to trick investors. I started an email to my client, explaining the delay without spilling all my family drama. My fingers paused. I wanted to send an angry message to my father, but I stopped myself. Confronting him now would give away my plan. I needed proof, hard proof of what he was doing. Susan's text was a start, but I had to be smarter. I opened my laptop's backup logs, looking for any files my parents might have secretly accessed. Nothing yet, but I wasn't finished digging. They had underestimated me, and I was going to make sure they paid for it. 2 days later, I was ready for battle. Susan had promised to find the emails my father sent, and I needed to know just how deep his lies went. I called her that morning, my voice steady, even though anger simmered inside me. "Susan, what happens if someone's using my identity to pitch a business?" I asked. Her answer was sharp. "It's fraud, Clara. You can sue, but you need solid evidence. Emails, texts, anything that proves he's lying about your role." Fraud. The word hit me hard. My own father, using my name to scam people. I opened my laptop, my fingers flying across the keyboard as I searched my inbox. Susan had already forwarded an email from Frank Morgan, a retired investor my parents had known for years. My father's message claimed I was leading the creative vision for his new business. My jaw tightened at his unbelievable nerve. I had never agreed to any of it. Digging deeper, I found 2 more emails he'd accidentally copied me on, each one bragging about my full commitment to different investors. The lies were huge, designed to make his shaky plan seem real by leaning on my good reputation. I switched to social media, finding a Phoenix business forum where my father had posted, tagging me. "Clara Scott's driving our project with her photography expertise." The post had gained traction. Dozens of likes, comments from local business owners, even shares. My blood boiled. He was building a scam, with my name as the foundation. I took screenshots of every post, every comment, organizing them in a folder I labeled Evidence. My phone buzzed mid-afternoon. A text from my cousin Ryan Peterson. "Clara, are you really working with your dad on this?" His tone felt different now, less certain than when he'd laughed off the laptop incident. I saw an opening. "No, Ryan," I texted back. "I'm not involved. Never was." A minute later, he sent a screenshot. A text from my father, sent 3 weeks ago. "Clara's all in on this. It's a done deal." My pulse raced. Ryan's doubt was my leverage. I called Susan, sharing the screenshot. "This is huge," she said, her voice firm. "Keep collecting, but don't confront him yet." She was right. I went through old messages, finding a group chat from a month ago where my father had asked about my client list, claiming it was for networking. I'd ignored it then, but now it was clear he'd been targeting my contacts for his scam. I saved those texts, my focus sharpening with every new discovery. I spent hours comparing emails and posts, putting together my father's pattern of lies. One email to Frank mentioned a joint presentation I'd supposedly designed. Another post claimed I'd secured a major client for his venture. Each lie piled on, but so did my determination. I added every scrap to my folder. 18 screenshots, 4 emails, and Ryan's text by nightfall. It wasn't enough for a lawsuit yet, but it was a solid start. The next morning, I took my first step. With a folder brimming with evidence of my father's lies, I was ready to shut down his scam. I opened my laptop and wrote an email to Frank Morgan, the investor he'd targeted with false claims about my involvement. My fingers moved carefully, each word chosen with precision. "Dear Mr. Morgan," I wrote, "I have no connection to my father's business venture. His claims of my partnership are entirely false. I've never agreed to any collaboration, and I'm addressing this misuse of my name. I attached 3 screenshots from his business forum posts, each one falsely boasting my creative leadership. My chest tightened, not from doubt, but from the weight of standing my ground. I hit send, a surge of clarity washing over me. Next, I turned to the banking portal. I'd frozen my parents' access to our joint account days ago, but that was just a temporary fix. Now, I needed to cut them off for good. The account held $12,300, every cent earned through my photography, not theirs. I transferred the full amount to my personal account, then started the process to close the joint one permanently. The bank's confirmation email arrived minutes later, and I exhaled, a heavy tension in my shoulders easing. They'd never touch my money again. By noon, my phone lit up with a text from my father. "What's this garbage you're telling Frank?" It read, his tone seething. "You're ruining everything." Another message followed. "Fix this now, Clara, or you'll regret it." My fingers gripped the phone, my calm tested but unbroken. He wasn't apologizing for the laptop or the lies. He was just lashing out because I'd dared to fight back. I didn't respond. Let him rage. Then my mother's name flashed on my screen, the phone ringing 6 times. I let it go to voicemail, bracing myself for her usual manipulative tactics. When I played it, her voice was soft, almost pleading, but dripping with fake sweetness. "Clara, honey, you're hurting your dad so much," she said. "We're family. Why are you turning against us?" My stomach churned at her words, not because I believed her, but because she thought guilt could pull me back in. I deleted the voicemail, my determination solidifying. I checked my email again. Frank had responded. "Thank you for clarifying, Clara. I'll need to reassess my involvement." It wasn't a full victory, but it was progress. My father's scheme was starting to crumble. I spent the afternoon securing my client project files, uploading them to a new private cloud service my parents couldn't touch. I double-checked my backups, making sure no more accidents could derail my work. My parents had underestimated me, thinking they could bully me into submission. They were wrong, and I was just getting started. That evening, I sat at my desk, reviewing my next steps. Susan had promised to connect me with her lawyer friend, and I needed to be ready for whatever came next. My father's texts and my mother's call had only fueled my focus. They'd crossed too many lines, and I wasn't going to let them drag me down. I opened my laptop again, drafting notes for the lawyer, dates, screenshots, and a clear timeline of their lies. My parents thought they could exploit me and walk away unharmed. They were about to learn otherwise. 3 days later, I took a big leap. Susan Blake's lawyer friend, Emily Carter, had helped me craft a cease and desist letter, a serious legal warning to stop my parents from using my name. I sat at my kitchen table, reviewing the document one last time. It was short but firm. "Cease all use of Clara Scott's name in connection with your business ventures. Evidence of false claims is attached." The dossier, now bursting with 20 screenshots, 5 emails, and Ryan's text, was ready. I sent copies to my father, my mother, and Frank Morgan. My fingers were steady, even with a knot of nerves in my stomach. This wasn't just a letter. It was a line in the sand. By mid-afternoon, my phone lit up with a notification. My father had gone back to the Phoenix Business Forum, but this time, he was vicious. "Clara Scott's trying to ruin my reputation with lies," he posted, painting me as a spiteful daughter, sabotaging his honest project. The post had 15 likes and a string of comments. Some called me ungrateful. Others questioned my professionalism. My breath caught in my throat, a surge of anger mixing with disbelief. He wasn't just dodging responsibility. He was attacking me publicly. I took a screenshot of the post, adding it to my growing evidence file, my focus sharpening with every word I read. Then my phone buzzed again. A message from my cousin Ryan Peterson. "Clara, you need to see this." He sent a screenshot of a text from my father, dated the night of the family party. "Tossed her camera in the pool. She'll think twice before defying us." My heart jumped, not from surprise, but from the cold, hard proof of his evil plan. This wasn't an accident. It was pure sabotage. I texted Ryan back. "This is huge. Thank you." His reply came fast. "I should have believed you sooner." Ryan's support felt like a lifeline in the chaos. I checked the family group chat, expecting a message from my aunt, Virginia Lee. She'd been quick to criticize me before, calling my reaction to the laptop incident dramatic. Now there was nothing. Just silence. Maybe Ryan had shared the text with her. Or maybe she'd seen my father's public post and started questioning his story. Her quiet withdrawal felt like a shift, a crack in the family's united front. I spent the evening organizing my evidence, adding my father's hateful post and Ryan's screenshot to the dossier. Susan called, her voice calm but urgent. "That post could hurt him more than you," she said. "Document everything and don't engage online." I agreed, my mind racing with next steps. I reviewed the cease and desist letter again, making sure every detail was perfect. Emily had included a warning about potential legal action if they didn't obey, and I felt a flicker of power. My parents had underestimated me, but I was done letting them control the story. I opened my laptop, pulling up my client contracts to double-check their security. My photography business was my lifeline, and I couldn't risk another accident. I moved all my files to a new encrypted cloud service, setting up two-factor authentication. Every step felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. My father's lies and my mother's silence had pushed me to this point, but I wasn't backing down. The dossier was my shield, and I was ready to protect what was mine. A week later, the consequences hit my parents hard. My cease and desist letter had landed like a bombshell, and Frank Morgan's response came first. His email was direct. "Clara, your evidence is clear. I'm out of your father's venture, and I've advised others to do the same." A wave of relief washed over me, sharp and real. My father's house of lies was falling apart, and I had lit the fuse. Susan called that afternoon, her voice buzzing with news. "3 more investors bailed," she said. "Your father's project is dead in the water." The Phoenix Business Forum, once his stage for boasting, was now a graveyard of his reputation. His post slandering me had been flagged and removed, replaced by threads questioning his trustworthiness. I scrolled through them, noticing the change in tone. People weren't buying his story anymore. A quiet thrill ran through me, not for his failure, but for the truth finally breaking through. The family dynamic was shifting too. Ryan Peterson texted me, "Virginia's done defending your parents. Nobody's on their side now." I read his words twice, a mix of feeling justified and exhausted settling in. Virginia Lee, who had once scolded me for overreacting, had gone silent. Whether it was Ryan's screenshot of my father's confession or the investors pulling out, her retreat felt like a crack in the family's united front. I didn't need their approval, but their distance from my parents was a small victory. I learned from a mutual friend that my father and mother were spiraling financially. Without investor money, their business idea had no chance. The joint account I'd closed left them with nothing to fall back on, and their expensive spending habits were finally catching up. They had been counting on my money to float their scam, and now they were scrambling just to pay for basic things. I didn't celebrate their struggle, but a steady resolve anchored me. Their choices had led them here, not mine. Meanwhile, my career was soaring. After weeks of talks, I signed a $300,000 contract with a national magazine for their spring campaign. The deal was sealed over a video call, the editor raving about my unique vision. I sat back, a genuine smile breaking through as I wired the $5,000 advance to my personal account. This was my victory, built on my work, my name untarnished by my parents' schemes. I spent the evening sketching out plans for the campaign, mapping shoots across Phoenix's deserts. My parents had tried to drag me down, but I was rising higher than ever. Months later, I drew my final line. My father and mother kept trying to reach me, texts pleading for talks, voicemails cloaked in guilt. Even a handwritten letter slipped under my door. I blocked their numbers, deleted their messages unheard, and tossed the letter in the trash, unopened. Their betrayal, using my name, destroying my camera, slandering me online, left no room for forgiveness. I wasn't bitter. I was simply resolute. My decision, a fortress built around my peace. In my Phoenix studio, surrounded by framed photos from my latest shoots, I thought about my journey. Family ties don't give anyone the right to use you. Setting boundaries, even with your own parents, is about protecting your worth. I'd learned this the hard way, through lies and sabotage, but it made me stronger. I wrote in my journal, "Never let loyalty blind you to manipulation. Protect yourself first, always." These words were my anchor, a lesson I'd carry forward, and maybe share someday to help others facing similar battles. My parents were sinking deeper into their consequences. A neighbor mentioned they had sold their car to cover debts, their once grand lifestyle now cramped in a tiny rental. The family had completely turned away. Virginia Lee, once their loudest supporter, hadn't contacted them in months. Their isolation was stark, a mirror of their bad choices. I didn't think about their struggles. My focus was on building my own life, not dwelling on theirs. My career was soaring higher than ever. The $300,000 magazine contract had opened up new doors, a gallery exhibition in Scottsdale, and a tourism campaign for Arizona's beautiful canyons. I hired an assistant, Sarah Nguyen, to handle my busy schedule. My days buzzed with photo shoots and client meetings. My bank account showed my success, with steady deposits from new projects. Standing in my studio, reviewing a vibrant desert photo, I felt a deep pride swell within me. This was my life, built on my terms, untouched by my parents' schemes. I closed my journal, my resolve unbreakable. Their betrayal had pushed me to redefine what family meant, to value myself above any guilt. While my parents faced the wreckage of their actions, I was thriving, my future bright and unstoppable, a testament to my own strength.